on right now. And are 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. I'm LaWanna Porter. I'm a member of the Communications Department team with Dallas Independent School District. I'm happy to be here with you this evening for this District 1 Strategic Initiatives meeting. And to get the meeting started, I would like to turn it over to District 1 trustee, Dr. Edwin Flores, for some opening remarks.
So thank you,
Dr. Flores. I
know that
the interpretation comes first. That's right. We do have a message for those of you who would like to hear the message in Spanish. I'll pause for that.
Buenas noches, muchas gracias por participar en esta presentación. Queremos informarles que si quiere escuchar esta presentación en español, por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de su pantalla y pulse en el mundo para poder, y escoja español para poder escuchar en español. Si por alguna razón esto no funciona, salga otra vez y vuélvalo a intentar. Si tiene problemas conectándose en español, por favor, contáctenos en el Q y A que está también en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Gracias.
One more housekeeping note. If you have questions throughout the meeting, please put your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom window, and we will get to those questions as time permits. And now for Dr. Flores.
So thank you, Luana. Real quick, can I ask a quick question? Are the participants going to be able to speak, or is this just like a broadcast?
Yes, it's a broadcast. The participants will not be able to speak. They can put questions in the Q&A box.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I should have made it clear that we wanted to be able to get input and stuff, but I guess we'll do it through the chat box. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I want to give a shout out to Abby Meyer, who came up with the idea of doing this. So I'll give her full credit for that. And she came to me and approached the school district about, having this meeting and having this discussion. And we were on a call, I want to say about 6 weeks ago with Brian Lusk and Angie Gaylord, who are here tonight, that are part of the Office of Innovation and Transformation. And they said, sure, let's do it. So they went back to work on this, and Angie put together a great presentation. And my apologies that we don't have kind of the being able to go back and forth. I'll be a little more clear next time. And I take responsibility for that. That's my fault. But yeah, please do put stuff in the chat. But I did want to give a shout out to Abby Meyer. She's a Kramer Elementary School parent who had the idea to do this. And so we jumped on it. And so just thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. And it looks like we have great participation. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Angie, who has the presentation. And as we go, we will, please do add your questions in the chat, and we'll read them out, and we'll provide us an opportunity to answer questions. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Angie Gaylord with the Office of Transformation and Innovation. And what we've done is we've put together an instructional master plan for you to see kind of what are all the choices within District 1, what's on the horizon, and just give you some data points kind of around the context of why there are so many choice schools, both neighborhood and open enrollment schools. And so with that, just a little bit of the language. We do know that the majority of schools in Dallas ISD are our neighborhood schools. That means that they have a traditional attendance boundary. So where you live is where you attend school. Within that, if you are a neighborhood school that has gone through the OTI process to be redesigned to be an innovation school, then we give you that designee. And so our neighborhood schools, some of them are innovation, some of them have gone through the process, some of them are currently trying to go through the process. The second type of school is we have transformation schools. These are open enrollment schools, so there's not an attendance boundary. They normally are following a 50-50 socioeconomic lottery, where we have priority lotteries, geographic priority lotteries. And then there is bus transportation provided if your child is awarded a seat in one of these transformation schools. And I'll give you more details on that in a minute. And then last is our magnet schools. And we've got magnet standalone schools, and we've got magnet schools that are within some of our neighborhood campuses. But for the most part, our magnet schools in Dallas ISD are open enrollment schools. There is a minimum academic requirement to attend, and we have a board policy that regulates the admissions of those magnet schools. 30% of the seats go to kids based on merit, and then 70% of the seats are divided out based on the number of kids in the elementary feeder patterns to every feeder in the district. So those are the three types of major schools for Dallas ISD. This is a little bit of a timeline of the OTI office and when OTI first launched a lot of these schools. You can see starting in 2015, we launched Halsey and IDEA. This was through the public school choice process, and then our innovation schools that launched that are not in Bulber Rogers Marsh and Bryan Adams High School. You can see at the bottom that IB was also accelerated and scaled to support Woodrow Wilson feeder and Hillcrest feeder in 2015. And we always remind everyone that Mata was the first OTI choice school, but it was in existence before we had the process of going through the designee. And then you go into 2016 with Solar Girls, 2017 with City Lab, 2018 with PL Prep at Sam Houston, Solar Boys at Kennedy, Hernandez Montessori Ignite Middle School at JW Ray, and then Sudie Williams was converted into a TAG Academy 4 through 8, and then our Pleasant Grove dual language school in for the talented and gifted in Pleasant Grove was created from, which wasn't a school before that. In 2019, we added 2 Southern magnets for students that were wanting to go to a TAG Academy that weren't wanting to drive across town. So what was Mills is now Trinity Heights TAG and then Twain TAG. And you can see the schools underneath them were neighborhood schools that were converted into being innovation schools. So in 2019, we had a lot of schools that were interested in PL. You can see that. 2020, this last year, we launched the Martin Luther King Arts Academy in sunny South Dallas. We also launched Downtown Montessori in the UNT Systems building in downtown for parents that live downtown, work downtown, and then the schools beneath that were neighborhood schools that were converted into innovation schools. Remember that to be an innovation school, that means the campus, the community led the application process and were awarded that. And then for 2021, we have 14 on the horizon. The hybrid school, a IB Prep Global at Paul Quinn, and then Walker is going to have a co-location of a to be named Montessori pre-K through 5, launching pre-K through 2. And then in February, we will be announcing the next round of 10 innovation schools. They currently have about 45 schools going through the process, and 10 will be awarded. And that's kind of just the overview. This is what we have pushed out this year, and I presented this in the last meeting around Choose Dallas ISD, and there's a lot of language around choice. This year, for the next school year, we have a portal that lets every neighborhood school and choice school compete. If you're a neighborhood school and you don't have open enrollment seats, then you basically are competing with every parent in town to transfer into your school. So every school has an identity. Every school is in School Finder. And then right now we have a portal that you can apply for a transfer into a neighborhood school, a magnet school, a transformation school, a P-TECH. And then you can see on the right all of the different models that we have for families. And people say, well, that's a lot of choice options. We know we're accelerating innovation and transformation in the city of Dallas. But at the end of the day, the majority of our kiddos go to neighborhood schools. That is the majority of our kiddos. They will always go to neighborhood schools. The choice schools, there's about 8,000 seats for magnets, and right now about 4,000 seats for transformation schools. So for the most of the city of Dallas, that we know everyone's number one choice will be those neighborhood schools. And that's why we work with principals to redesign them or recruit or remarket or however you want to look at it to make them more competitive with some of the other schools in their area. I do a kind of a geographic enrollment breakdown. Sometimes when people ask, why do you add certain schools in certain areas? I gave you, because I know the last time we had a conversation about SUDI. So what I did is our demographer gave you the current enrollment by geographic boundary. So every blue dot is where the student lives that attends SUDI Williams Tag. And then the little red flag is the location of the school. And so I already told you that this is a magnet school. Our magnet policy does divide out so that there are enough seats given out to different quadrants of the city. And so as you can see, there's a splatter shot of kids that are attending that school from all across the city. The map on the right is Longfellow. I know both of these schools are in District 2, but I was trying to give examples of some schools that we centrally locate in the city that we know we're going to be able to pull kids from Seagoville, from Addison, from all the way almost down to Lancaster, DeSoto, within our district. And so Longfellow, everyone in green currently attends Longfellow, and then that is where they reside. OTI, our office in 2018 did a full market and share analysis of the data of the city of Dallas versus the Dallas ISD school district. And so what I do is I kind of like to paint the picture that every student in the city, according to census data, this is where the percentage of market share that we currently have right now. I know before COVID, it was around 152, 53. Right now we're at 145,000. There's about 36,000 kids that live in the city of Dallas that do not attend Dallas ISD. They attend charter schools, and then everyone else is what we call other, and that means they're currently sitting in a private school, parochial school, virtual school, or they could be homeschooled. And we do have a lot of kids homeschooled in the city of Dallas. Our millennial parents, right now, that has become a model, and so that's hence one of the reasons we're launching the hybrid school this next year, where kids go to school half the time in brick and mortar and half the time they're at home. This is an ethnicity breakdown showing Dallas ISD versus the city of Dallas. And this is all just demographic data and census data that we use through our market share analysis to know what kids are attending by their neighborhood feeder schools. So you can see the breakdown. Column 2 is Dallas ISD. Column 3 is the city of Dallas, all students age 4 through 18. And then to break this down more in the North Dallas feeder, what we've done is we've given you the 3 feeders, Jefferson, White, and Hillcrest, the number of students aged 4 through 18 by feeder. So all elementary, middle, and high. And then who's the number that's enrolled currently in Dallas ISD, the number that is not enrolled in current at Dallas ISD, and the overall percent of market share that we own for that quadrant of the feeder pattern. So as you can see, Thomas Jefferson, 71% of the kids that live in Thomas Jefferson do attend Dallas ISD, 57% at WT White, and 56% at Hillcrest, giving us around 16,000 kids that currently do not attend Dallas ISD. And so this is a breakdown really just currently of the choice models by feeder. So if you look for WT White, I've got the high school, the middle school, the elementary schools, the opportunities at WT White with their BTech. I know Brian Lusk is on the call too, and Melody Pascal is on the call too, if there's questions around some of these models. But the elementary schools for WT White, we're very heavy dual language. We have a lot of parents and principals that love the dual language model. And so you can see Nathan Adams, Bush, Chapel Hill, not Chapel Hill, Calle. The DL means dual language academies. The Innovation Engine are the currently awarded $50,000 Innovation Engine grants that we recently gave out. Marcus got it this year, DeGaulier got it last year, and this is to seed innovation for those campuses to start the process to maybe redesign their school with a new model. Black bold means it's an innovation school that's awarded on the slide that I discussed earlier. So Marsh and Chapel Hill in this example. And then we get into Thomas Jefferson and currently what the high school offers, what the middle school offers. Currently, a couple years ago, we wrote the grant. Madrano was a Verizon grant, a one-to-one iPad grant for the district. The elementary schools, what they currently are, if they have a model. And then we've got Foster that just got the innovation engine. We've got Polk that is a magnet within the within a neighborhood school. We go into Hillcrest. Hillcrest is one of our only high schools that has both an early college high school E-Tech and also a strand for IB. So you can see it backwards map. Franklin is also an innovation school IB. Kramer is an innovation school IB and a dual language school. Preston Hollow and is dual language. Rogers is personalized learning. And so then that way the kids are ramping up into either dual language, personalized learning, or IB before they transfer into the middle school or the high school. And so Trustee Flores, what this is, I just took your District 1 map. It's a combination of some of the Hillcrest, some of the TJ and W.T. White schools. Everyone in yellow are the neighborhood schools, and I put the current sitting enrollment of those schools. And then green is either going to be future transformation school or a magnet school. I know that Montessori at Walker is to a degree an overflow for Anne Frank. You can see how Anne Frank's numbers are really big there. And then Kramer and Chapel Hill are our innovation schools within District 1. You can see the middle schools, and then I've designated the high school. Future OTI projects. So these are the ones that are currently in the pipeline or being discussed. We talked about this earlier. This is the one that is at Walker, co-located with Walker Middle School, name pending, but it is got a school leader. Ashley Toole, the current principal at Walker, is that leader. We've got a partnership right now where we've got teachers in a pipeline to be Montessori certified with Shelton School. The funding behind it, the first year enrollment, we're planning for 242, and then it will roll up a grade level every year to 5th grade. We've got the K-8 Walnut Hill International Language Prep that will be at the site of where the old Cary Middle School building was. Philip Potter, the current principal at Walnut Hill, is leading a big, huge group. I know Telemundo, he's got some different design partners. The projected enrollment. We've got the K-12 Future Midtown International STEAM Project up by the Galleria area. That was a proposal co-written with North Dallas Chamber of Commerce, A&M Commerce, and that property is going to be land we're going to need to buy, and also a new construction with bond funds from the 2020 bond. And then currently, because of our success with Solar Girls, we are looking for a replication location for a future solar prep girls north or south in District 1, 2, or 3. It's TBD. But we've got a model. The previous principal at Solar, that's now the executive director, has codified a replication model with our office. And so at some point, we will have a discussion around where to locate that. And I can kind of give you the scatter points of where everyone that applies for solar prep currently lives. And that's the presentation.
Great, thanks, Angie. I really appreciate you kind of going through that. That was, kind of a Dr. Hinojosa fast type presentation. Dr. Hinojosa says, what is it, 10 slides, 5 minutes? So I think you may have gone a little bit over the 5 minutes, but we really appreciate it. So this is now the time when we can start, getting questions. I know there are a whole bunch of questions and comments already And again, my apologies that this is not a where you can like unclick yourself and talk. I don't think, can we switch that? Is there any way to switch that, Luana? Is that too late? That gets set up when the Zoom gets set up.
We would have had to have that set up from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, so sorry about that. So we can start going through questions. I know that there's some questions. There's certainly some comments. Jessica told us that to remind us that Walker Middle School has 3 different programs. We have dual language, we have visual and performing arts, and STEM as individual academies. So there are 3 academies at E.D. Walker, so that everybody is reminded of that. And we have some questions. I don't know, Angie, if you guys can see the questions about IB and whatnot. So if you guys
I can certainly reiterate those questions. There is one question here from Bianca Noble. She's asking, where do IB programs like Kramer and Franklin Middle School fit into this model?
They were on the slide deck I just showed. Are you smart?
I think the question, Angie, is around, are they innovation or transformation? I think that's the question.
Oh, yeah, they're innovation schools. They're neighborhood schools that have been awarded the innovation designee.
And is it correct that the seats would be available for students who want to apply based on the available seats at those 2 schools?
Correct. Transfers are allowed for the building capacity. So they work with the principal and the executive director to find out what is the building capacity, and then we open up that number of seats for transfers.
Do IB schools allow transfers going forward? And I think you just referenced that, right?
Yep.
We have several comments here. Ms. Whitson says, thank you for increasing the visibility of our neighborhood schools on the Choice website. She also says, as Dr. Flores just mentioned, that Walker has the 3 different programs as individual academies. And we have a question from Tori Willis, who says, hopefully the solar prep replication can move down south to help with the Irma Rangel all-girl campus. Are there any ideas in that area?
Yeah, we're definitely going to replicate maybe in 2 quadrants of the city, but that's TBD. We have not gotten that far. But we do know we have a healthy appetite, and I just showed everyone kind of where those applications are coming from. They're coming from all quadrants of the city.
People love Rangel, which we all know.
Mm-hmm.
I have several requests for the slides to be made available. Can you share those? All right, so we will put those on the website, or if you want to, you can give us the link to them if you have them somewhere, and we can share out this evening. Another question is, when will the application open for the new schools like Solar Prep?
That's in the works. Normally what we do is we hire a year 0 principal, or hopefully this time, like right now, we've got our 3, what we're calling year 0 principals to launch the following year. So it wouldn't even be an option until 22, 23 at the earliest.
Will the new Walnut Hill Pre-K-8 have an attendance zone? See here, that's not all of it. And if not, where will the existing students be rezoned to attend?
Walnut Hill will not have a attendance zone in about a year. What it will be is a priority lottery, since the majority of the kids that go to Walnut Hill are actually on transfers. If you attended Walnut Hill prior, that would be your first priority. And then the school leadership department will work with the demographer on where they're going to where they would boundary the previous Walnut Hill attendance boundary.
Ken Barth is asking, with so many different curriculums, it feels very complicated to keep trained staff and measure success. Can you explain how we recruit and how we measure? And he's also interested in how much more it costs to do it this way overall. I'm assuming the diversity of programs.
Yeah, the models are unique and each one of them does have a different fiscal note. That's why where we've seen the majority of our success is when the autonomy is at the campus level and the principal and that leadership team owns that professional development with teachers. As far as the additional training, you know, our IB model over time, the goal is to get all of those teachers trained, and we have teachers across the district that have been trained in multiple models. As far as how are we measuring success, we do have a program evaluation for our OTI schools, and right now, the majority of our innovation and transformation schools are outperforming the district in certain areas, but we definitely look at our student achievement data, our retention data, and our overall success of the program with some innovation rubrics that we do walkthroughs with certain campuses and administrators to make sure the fidelity of those models is strong.
All right, Jessica Whitson has another question. As you mentioned, District 1 is dual language heavy. Can you discuss what that means for students who follow the program through high school? There is a certification designation that graduates receive on their diploma, correct?
Correct. Brian or Melody, do y'all want to dig into your?
Melody, if not, I can. Melody, do you want to answer that or?
Sure, I can answer that. And the answer is yes. There is, if the students continue all the way through their senior year and they continue the courses through W.T. White High School, that yes, they get a dual language seal of certification that obviously says that they're dual language certified, which carries weight obviously into their college acceptance. So they do have to continue the program and continue to take the classes, but yes, that's definitely, it's a seal that they receive as part of their graduation at graduation.
Thank you. Another question. Will there be a visual arts communications technology high school program in the Northwest Quadrant?
Currently, the plan for the visual art technology high school is at Old Adamson. That has come through the Office of Transformation and Innovation. It's not through this shop, not within North Dallas Quadrant.
And Carolyn Jackson asked, can we find out a bit more about how the new hybrid school will operate?
Yes, in fact, I just saw that. Can we find out more information about the new hybrid school? We just hired a principal right now that starts the transition in about 2 weeks. And we're going to start having parent meetings with parents that are interested in that. The biggest piece around that is that it is a lot of asynchronous learning. Only 2 days the kids come into the building. And when they come into the building, their time will be designed around the student experience that they're in, whether it's working one-on-one with teacher or working in a big group or working in a small group. But the majority of their work will be at home at their own pace, very self-guided.
I should mention again too that if you have questions in Spanish or if you need interpretation, please go to the interpretation window at the bottom of the screen. Of course, that probably doesn't help you if you're totally a Spanish speaker. So I might need Mary Carmen to come on and reiterate that for us. Can you do that, MC?
Yes, I'm sorry, can you repeat it again? Make sure I get it.
To remind people about the interpretation availability and what to do if they need the information in Spanish.
Sure. Una vez más, si quiere escuchar esta presentación en español, por favor vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en el icono del mundo, pulse ahí y escoja la interpretación en español, así podrá escuchar la interpretación en español durante esta presentación. Si tiene alguna pregunta en español, puede hacerla en el Q&A y nosotros la traduciremos en inglés para que los panelistas la puedan responder a ella.
Gracias. I need to learn more Spanish. Yes.
Lawana, there's a question. If a school that only right now has a dual language model but wants to launch an innovation program or transformation program, how does that work? That is led by the principal. So I would say reach out to the principal. There's a capacity team that has to be built to write the application, and normally that's 3 or 4 people. If someone outside of the district is interested in launching or writing a proposal for a transformation school, or which is a new startup completely, and I'll give you an example, Downtown Dallas Inc. wrote the application for the Downtown Montessori one and North Dallas Chamber, then that's a direct email to me so I can get you the information. And my email, I'm going to give you my email so that I can just accelerate this. Email me. So then that way I can get you the information, whether it's principal led or it's community. Someone in the community that has a great idea about a school that we have not thought of that we could sit down and talk about. And then the person that also wanted more information around the hybrid school, please email me and I'm going to get you into contact with that principal.
I heard you typing, but I'm not sure where your email landed, Angie. You might
Went to the panelists. It's in chat.
Okay.
Can you
So
see
you
it?
might want to,
Can I say something real quick, Luana? Let's just jump in. So for a good example of a dual language school that is in the process of doing innovation at their campus is DeGolyer. So DeGolyer is going through that process right now. Angie, I don't know if you wanted to, I know you mentioned it on your slide. I don't know if you wanted to add a little more detail on that, but we do have campuses that are doing that or have gone through the process.
Yeah, we award right now, we award 10 Innovation Engine grants a year. And so we've probably got about 35 to 40 campuses right now that are working with our team to pitch those proposals. I don't have Flores, I don't have DeGolyer's information right in front of me. But I do know that there's a lot of them that we talked about in those slides that we've been working with. DeGolyer, Marcus, Walnut Hill, yes. There's a bunch of them. Walnut Hill, the question was, will Walnut Hill be a magnet? No, Walnut Hill will not be a magnet. It's being converted into a K-8 transformation school in a couple of years. I don't know the timeline for the construction, the new construction.
There's another question there. I don't know if you really entertained that one yet. Why not make Walnut Hill an innovation school so its current residents or the current students may stay there?
Yeah, the current students will have the opportunity to stay there. They're not moving the students.
Another question is, if there are students who live outside Dallas ISD boundaries who are interested in these schools, what are the requirements or what's the process or limitations for out-of-district students?
So our lotteries fill all seats with Dallas ISD kiddos first, and then if there's open seats after that, I'll open up a lottery for out-of-district students.
So they should go ahead and apply as they would, and then it depends on the availability of seats.
Yeah.
Okay. When the Walnut Hill attendance zone is erased, where will the residents of the current zone be located?
That will be the decision with school leadership and some other members of the district. When we get down, they'll work with the demographer to see where those kids will be rezoned.
Angie, can I put in my 2 cents on that? I mean, why don't we just keep its current boundary and just make it a priority like we do Frank? I mean, is that an option?
Yeah, it really is the option. I mean, theoretically, that will always be the previous Walnut Hill attendance boundary will always be the #1 lottery for that school.
Another question, was City Lab developed via the application for innovation, becoming an innovation transformation school?
Yes, City Lab was an application, and it was to become a transformation school, which means it's an open attendance boundary and to be located in downtown Dallas so the kids could do urban planning and entrepreneurship around the city and the downtown corridor. It went through the process and was approved, and it's a very small boutique school currently on the top 2 floors of the Irvay building. The special ed department is housed there for the district, and so they use 2 floors of that building until, with 2020 bond, they are part of the big downtown project, and so once that project launches, they'll be moved into that facility that will house 3 different schools. The pre-K-8 Montessori downtown, City Lab, and then Lassiter Early College High School.
What year might a new all-girls high school become available? Angie, I know you said that's being looked at and being asked about.
In all-girls high school, right now the only all-girls high school we have is Irma Rangel, and then there's been conversations around extending one of our middle schools into going 6 through 12. Dr. Lusk, I don't know if you want to add anything on that piece. That's another one of our possible future projects.
Yes, we haven't, candidly, we haven't talked a whole lot about another all-girls high school, but we have talked about one particular school that would continue to build up to become a middle school, high school. That's still a conversation we're having, and that's Balk Springs Middle School, Young Women's Leadership Academy at Balk Springs. So right now that's a possibility, but beyond that, we hadn't talked much about any other replications.
That looks like all the questions that we have for right now. There may be others. Is there anything else that you want to reiterate from the presentation, or Dr. Flores, any other comments you have?
So Luana, can you look at our chat? I think in the chat, there's some questions that may be coming over from the Spanish language side. So I think we do have a few more questions. So for example, one of the questions, at a high level, it feels one of our goals is to increase attendance and compete with the private schools. If so, how are we doing that, and are we measuring that? Angie and Brian, you want to take a whack at that? If this is a topic of heavy discussion at the school board every time we talk about these. So I don't know if you guys wanted to talk about kind of our efforts on expanding our market share with private, from the private school area sector, also parochial school, I would add in there.
Well, I'll just get started, Angie, and if you don't mind, then you can add some thinking as well. I think one of the questions, or one of the points Angie made is around the single gender girls school, and when she talked about it, it wasn't, the model was more of the solar pre-K-8 model. It's not to say that a high school model isn't appropriate as well, but if we think about some of the private schools, even locally in District 1, right, or near District 1, Hockaday, Ursuline, those are 2 schools that do exceedingly well. And clearly there's a market share for them. And so I think I saw also another question in the chat that actually relates to this too, is, when do, as we think about new school models, also thinking about neighborhood schools, and absolutely we do. It's important that we balance the 2. And so we really want to use data to make sure that the decisions we make are grounded in fact in data, so that we are making decisions that don't pull from neighborhood schools, but also meet the needs of the broader community. And so I think some of the models that we're looking at, the pre-K-12 school, the future school is a great example of that. So we do look at market share and look at demand. Angie, what else you want to add?
Yeah, the goal we have for the department since we've launched all these transformation schools is what we've seen is for about 31 to 30% of all of our new seats are filled by students that did not go to Dallas ISD the year before. We're seeing that from City Lab to Solar Girls. Some of our schools it's higher, some of our schools it's lower. I think in downtown Dallas, Montessori this This last year, it was very heavy, all recapture kiddos new to Dallas ISD. But we are constantly recruiting. We are definitely, getting out there and doing our best to win back families into for the most part, all of our neighborhood schools, and then also our choice schools.
So Angie, there's another question kind of along those same lines. The question is, if there are students who live outside the DISD boundaries that are interested in these schools, what are the requirements, process limitations for out-of-district students? Are we accepting out-of-district students into the transformation innovation schools?
Yes, we do. We accept out-of-district if the in-district seats are already filled. And so with some of our schools, depending on, what year they launch, I always tell families that if you apply for a transformation school in the early years it launched, sometimes the higher the likely you'll get in and not waitlisted, because sometimes the longer they're in existence, the longer the wait list. And so for our transformation schools, our lotteries fill in-district kids first, and then if there's seats left over, we open a lottery for out-of-district. So anyone that's interested should apply. You never know, depending on the school or the grade level you're applying to, that you might get in. And then our magnet schools have a magnet policy, which does always the same thing, awards in-district kids first, and then if there's seats available, out-of-district.
So then there's kind of a follow-on to that question. It says, new schools open and expand unless we're bringing in new students to the district. We risk losing students and families from neighboring schools. How can we ensure we don't take from one simply to fill another?
Well, if you look at our market share analysis, we really do know where we have already lost a lot of kiddos. And then at the same time, I'd also remind everyone that there are principals right now that tell us that once school starts, a lot of their kids that are currently enrolled that are waitlisted at private schools or charter schools sometimes leave us once school starts because they're waitlisted in schools outside of Dallas ISD. And so our create a best fit school for every kid in Dallas ISD really is to make all neighborhood schools competitive, and then at the same time give other options for choices where we don't currently have choices.
Do you see the question about Townview? Townview is the only game in town for gifted, talented high school students. Are there any future plans for something like that in the northern areas?
Yeah, there's currently not a plan to replicate Townview Tag in the north right now.
As a magnet?
As a magnet school, as a gifted and talented magnet school, no.
Is it correct that next year's solar prep for girls will not have a wait list and students will apply yearly?
Next year, say that again, will not have, what we're doing, okay, I got you, sorry, Luana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so starting next year, entry grade levels never have a wait list for the most part. Once you have to reapply. If you were in kindergarten, if you were in pre-K and applied and you were waitlisted, you would have to apply again in kinder. Because of the entry grade level, we were letting those wait lists stay active. We've seen that for the most part, there's not a lot of movement in getting new kids in. And so what we will do is every year we will open seats so that if you are waitlisted and you're interested in your child going into, let's say, 6th grade solar prep, you can apply if there's an open seat, and it will start a new lottery, similar to how our magnet schools operate.
Did you see this question? It says here, in the new forms for applying, are all schools lumped together? I'm a bit concerned about the new ranking process because kids who don't get into Booker T, TAG, or SEM seem less likely to get into IB programs because those spots will be filled already. Is this the right forum to get an answer to that question?
Well, every kid is going to be run through an optimizer on their preference. And so, yeah, we tell students to make sure that they list their preferences in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And from there, depending on if seats fill or don't fill, then we'll go through a round 2. If you're a kiddo and you have picked a school that normally gets a whole lot of applications, you would definitely want to be strategic on who you put 2 and 3 to make sure, you get in on your first go. But at the same time, we fill a lot of our magnet seats and our transformation seats on second round, third round, et cetera.
I don't see any additional questions. Dr. Flores, Mary Carmen is asking if you want people to be able to speak. I guess it's a little late in the game for that now, but if you let her know, she could probably unmute them and bring them in. But right now, I think we have entertained all the questions that were.
Luana, I do see one more about W.T. White and the Fine Arts program there, if you see
Okay.
it.
No, I don't see it. You might go ahead and answer it if you see
Yeah,
it.
the question is around, is there already a fine arts option at W.T. White? And the answer is yes. We have a P-Tech program, an associate degree program. We're offering a fine arts program. And there are other, I think even beyond that, there's a fine arts focus. So Melody, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure. Well, first of all, we have a whole new fine arts wing, so we'd love for you to come see that. It's definitely state-of-the-art facility, so we encourage you to make an appointment to come and see that, since we have to be careful with visitors. But we definitely would love to showcase that, and as soon as we're able to have visitors in, we'll definitely love for you to come see the new facility. So we have plans to expand on that as soon as we can, as soon as we're done with this pandemic. But as of right now, we have, and I think Miss Wallace is out there in the audience if we want to add her as a panelist, if we want to. But we definitely have the dance piece there, where we have a dance as part of our new fine arts. We've included that actually we've combined that with our Collegiate Academy to do the recruiting and all of that with our P-Tech as well. So we've combined that together to strengthen that. And so we definitely are growing that piece as well. So more to come on that as we build that fine arts piece at WTY.
I was going to say, Ms. Wallace, if you want to add something to that, if you will raise your hand, we can unmute you so that you can come in. And while you're doing that, if you didn't get Angie's email address, it's agaylord@dallasisd.org. That's AGAYLORD. So I'm putting you out there on Front Street, Angie. A lot of your fans are going to be reaching out to you. All right, so let's see here. It says here, for the choices of schools on the application, if a school is our second choice, does that mean we are put in a different lottery from our first choice?
No, we're going to run an optimizer. So if you put whatever you put first, we're going to hope to fill that first. If it doesn't fill that first and you're wait listed, then it will naturally go into the second optimizer to try to give you your second choice. So the optimizer runs for the child, not for the school.
This is just a generic question, no one asked it, but given that we're accepting the applications for our specialty schools through January 31, is there any advice you can give people about how they need to go on and complete applications, et cetera?
I'd say a couple of things. We've actually pushed the application window to February 7th, so we're extending it another week. We also have some Discover Dallas events this week. We have a Discover Dallas event on Wednesday. We have a Discover Dallas event on Saturday. We have virtual tours via the transformation office, the one centers, the magnet office, so that you can do virtual tours with all of the campuses. The campuses are in heavy recruiting, so if there's one you're interested in, please reach out either to the school or reach out to us so that we can put you in, connection with the right group. People ask us all the time, how do we know what's the best fit school for our kiddo? And sometimes that's a one-on-one conversation with us. We're walking you through to see what you're interested in. But with that, I'm going to tell you the first thing is to check out your neighborhood school.
There's a question, who was just speaking about W.T. White? Was that you, Melody, speaking about W.T. White? Okay, all right. Dr. Flores, Brian, anything that we are forgetting, or Melody, that you guys want to emphasize?
Sure. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for participating in this, and I want to thank the staff, Angie, and everyone for putting this together. Again, Abby Myers, who reached out about putting this thing together, and so Abby has volunteered to kind of help continue the process going forward. So she may be reaching out to folks about continuing. A strategic plan is only really good if you then work the plan. And so I think that it's very important, Melody, I see you smiling because she understands that, we need to, stay on top of it. I don't know if the meetings would be, quarterly or more often or less often, but I think it's important that now that we've gotten the ball rolling, and I know this is the first strategic plan for any political district in the school district. Most families think about this in terms of feeder pattern. Unfortunately, because of the way that school boundaries are drawn as a political matter, and I'm fortunate to have and blessed to have W.T. White and TJ physically in my political district, but Hillcrest and Franklin are actually literally across the street, and there are schools, of course, in D1 that feed into Franklin and Hillcrest. So, and there are a lot of schools in District 8 that feed into Cary, TJ, and that area. So I think that it's important that we remember as a school board trustee, I need to look at all the schools and all students in the school district, not just my political district. But I think this is an opportunity. It's the first time the school district's ever done this, to look at this at kind of more local level, District 1 schools. What does it make sense from an innovation transformation point of view? And again, Abby's volunteered to kind of lead the effort on that, which is great, and I really, really appreciate it. I think that it's important to bear in mind, as Angie said, that our focus is neighborhood schools first. In her slide, she had that neighborhood schools are first, and to the extent that we have great innovators within our leadership at our campuses, we want these things to be homegrown. It's not about forcing some kind of plan onto a school. It's all about making sure that it's the best fit for that school, for that faculty, that staff, and of course the families and the students in that community. And that's why, for example, 2 of the innovation grants this year went to Marcus and to Gollier, and we're very excited about their work that's going to be going on. We had a community meeting about those back in December, and that opportunity, which aligns with the replacement of their campuses. So part of the charrette and the process to design these new schools will include basically aligning those programs with what's happening inside the building with the physical characteristics of the building. And we think that that's very important. Same thing with the arts wing, as we added the second P-Tech at W.T. White for the arts, that we had a facility that met those needs. And so we're very excited about the recent opening of that new wing. I'm actually, I think Randy Mulry and I are going to be visiting it on Wednesday morning, I think, to be able to get a tour. So I'm personally very much looking forward to that. That was thanks to the 2015 bond and the hard work of a lot of folks, and the shout out to Beth Weller, because it was actually her idea to put the K5 at Edie Walker, that then let us be able to build that new wing at W.T. White's with the savings from not having to buy land and all sorts of other stuff. It's a long story, but again, the community is who provides the input, provides the ideas, and to a certain extent, my job is to help work with the staff to reflect those ideas and concepts. So with
Abby is
that,
here, by the way. Abby, if you want to unmute, if you want to say a few words, you should be able to do that.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you
oh,
fine.
awesome.
I don't have, I just have a picture, no video for me. I just want to thank Trustee Flores for putting this together, and then everyone from the admin team in the district who have presented some really helpful information to us. My daughter goes to Kramer, which is our neighborhood school, but it is also, as y'all saw there, a transformation school because we have the IB program, which I've been very supportive of. But also know, as you know, D1 was looking to add some new schools and transform some other schools. Just wanting to make sure that we had input from the community, both those who do already go to Dallas ISD and those who hopefully one day will choose Dallas ISD as well. And just wanted to start figuring out a way where we can set up a plan. And as Edwin mentioned, being able to measure what are we trying to do. And so I will be reaching out to get further insight and see if anyone else is interested in staying involved as we create this committee moving forward. So thank you.
Yeah, and I can help, and thanks, Abby, and I can help put folks in touch with Abby. My district email is very easy. It's my first and last name, edwinflores@dallasisd.org. So if you're interested in participating and helping out, and as I say, being part of the solution, I will be glad to put everybody in touch, moving forward so that we can get this, the ball rolling on this. And as I said, if we need to meet quarterly or however often, I will be glad to try to help facilitate that. I don't know. I'm going to switch over to Spanish just real quick because there are always folks in the Spanish speaking side that have questions that maybe don't apply exactly. So I'll give them the opportunity. Buenas noches, mi nombre es Edwin Flores. Yo los represento en la mesa directiva del Distrito Independiente Escolar de Dallas. Y en todos estos foros, pues me gusta tener y darles la oportunidad a los que hablan español, si tienen algunas preguntas por separado que quieren preguntar, no siempre quieren ponerlas en el chat, tienen preguntas que no son especialmente tocantes a lo que estábamos discutiendo. Yo con mucho gusto voy a quedarme aquí unos minutos después de que termine este foro y puedo contestar sus preguntas. Pero muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Se agradece mucho su participación. Gracias. So with that, I basically let them know that I'll be hanging out for another few minutes. I do that at every one of these forums, and it's always great to be able to have an interaction. With that, Angie or Brian, I don't know if you had any, or Melody or anybody else, any additional comments. We're kind of coming up close to the hour. So I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to add any other comments.
I think just that, first of all, we appreciate this conversation. It does really bring coherence to the work we're trying to do. And so it also lets us share the body of work, if you will, and really the main emphasis being neighborhood schools. But we're here to work with the community. And so please reach out to us if further interactions or conversations are to be had. So we're glad to do it. So thanks so much.
I would just echo the same, just appreciate the community and the involvement, and just really appreciate everyone and your input. So would love to hear more. You know where to find us. So please continue to let us know how we can serve your students better.
Yeah, I'd say thanks for letting us highlight all these pieces and show a bigger picture for what we're doing with the city, the district, and all the kiddos.
All right, well, with that, I think we'll bring this session to a close. I know that it's being recorded, and so I think that's going to be made available on the district website or through social media. And then there were a lot of questions about the presentation itself. So I'm sure that Luana, if you want to, I'll be glad if I can get a link or something to post it on my Facebook, but also maybe there with the link to the sound recording. That way folks can get the actual, PowerPoint. So with that, I guess we'll bring it to a close. Thanks everybody for participating. Thank you for the staff for being here, for your hard work on this, Angie. I really appreciate it, and Brian and Melody and everyone else. But with that, I'll bring this session to a close, and I'll just hang out for another 5 or 10 minutes for our Spanish speakers. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.